In the heart of the enigmatic New Orleans, where jazz melodies weave into the humid air and the streets breathe with magic and mystery, Layla stood on the edge of an abandoned mansion's rooftop, gazing into the endless darkness. The wind tousled her long hair, while a storm of despair raged within her. She wasn't planning to jump. It was merely a cry of the soul when the world felt like an unbearable burden. But at the moment she stepped closer to the edge, a hand with an iron grip seized her wrist. "Stop," whispered a stranger, her voice resonating like an echo of old blues, deep and soothing. This was Zarina, and from that second, their destinies intertwined in a story brimming with drama, passion, and hope. Layla was an artist, living in a cramped apartment in the Tremaine neighborhood, where walls were adorned with vibrant canvases and the floor was streaked with paint. She had grown up in a strict family in southern Louisiana, where dreams of free love were deemed a sin, and her soul languished in the chains of tradition. Zarina, on the other hand, was a writer from Aspen who had moved to New Orleans in search of inspiration. Her life was a tapestry of nights at her typewriter, investigations into the shadows of the past, and scars from a family rupture that rejected her true self. They didn't meet in a bustling bar on Bourbon Street or at a carnival, but in that dramatic moment on the rooftop, where Layla sought solitude after a vicious argument with her parents, and Zarina wandered, gathering material for her new novel about forgotten souls. Zarina didn't let go of Layla's hand. Instead, she gently but firmly pulled her back, sitting her down on the cracked wooden planks of the roof, and began to speak. Not about stopping her from falling, but about the stars that pierced through the leaves of ancient oaks draped with Spanish moss. "Do you see that bright one?" she pointed, her finger trembling with emotion. "It whispers of hope, even when everything seems lost." Layla, shivering, looked up, and tears streamed down her cheeks, mingling with the rain that had begun to fall. They sat there until dawn, sharing secrets they had never dared voice aloud. Zarina spoke of her struggle for freedom, of fleeing a home in the mountains where her every dream was condemned. Layla revealed her paintings, chaotic strokes reflecting her inner turmoil, and admitted she feared herself. By morning, as the first rays of sunlight illuminated the city's spires, they descended, exchanging numbers, and Layla felt a spark she couldn't suppress, even if she wanted to. Days melted into weeks of chance encounters. At first, it was cups of tea in hidden cafes in the French Quarter, where they debated the mysticism of voodoo, poetry, and the hidden tales of New Orleans. Zarina adored Gothic novels with their dark depths, while Layla loved dancing to jazz that awakened her soul. But beneath the surface lay drama. Layla feared her feelings. Her upbringing had instilled that such love was taboo, leaving her torn between her heart and duty. One day, after an especially painful argument with her parents, who had come to the city and accused her of straying down the wrong path, demanding she return under their control, she broke down. "I can't hide anymore. I'm suffocating," she cried to Zarina over the phone, her voice shaking with tears. Zarina, without hesitation, rushed her home, and in that apartment, steeped in the scent of paint and aged wood, everything changed. Rain drummed against the windows as Zarina entered, her clothes clinging to her body from the dampness, her hair falling into her face. Layla sat on the floor, clutching a paintbrush, surrounded by unfinished canvases. "You're not alone," Zarina said, settling beside her and wiping raindrops from her face. Their eyes met, and the air crackled with electricity. Layla leaned forward, her heart pounding like a drum at a Mardi Gras parade. Their lips touched softly, like a whisper of wind through leaves, filled with fear, desire, and liberation. The kiss was brief but profound, like the Mississippi River carrying its waters through centuries. Zarina pulled back first, her eyes gleaming with the light of street lamps. "I want this, despite the fear," Layla whispered, and from that night, they became inseparable, clinging to each other like a lifeline in a storm. Life wasn't an easy idyll. Zarina lost a publishing contract due to a provocative plot that offended religious circles, and Layla supported her by selling her works at street fairs. They quarreled over Zarina's scattered books, Layla's paint chaos and larger fears, the future, acceptance, whether they could withstand the world's pressure. Once, Zarina left for a week to gather material in the Louisiana swamps, and Layla was tormented by doubts, fearing everything would collapse under her insecurity. But when Zarina returned with a wreath of moss and wildflowers gathered by the river, they realized this was a love stronger than any storm. "Let's live together," Zarina proposed, her voice trembling with hope. Layla, tears in her eyes, nodded, and they began a new chapter. Now their mornings began with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. They settled into a small house in the Marengo neighborhood, with a balcony overgrown with ivy and a view of the river where barges drifted to the tune of birdsong. Each morning, still in light tops, they stepped onto the balcony with mugs in hand. The sun gilded their skin, and they pressed close, gazing into each other's eyes. "Do you remember that rooftop?" Layla whispered, her voice soft as a morning breeze. Zarina smiled, her fingers intertwining with Layla's. "Now we've found our home, our peak." The coffee was hot, its scent blending with the flowers, and their conversations deep about new stories, paintings, how they weathered their inner storms. In these moments, the world felt perfect, filled with love born from drama and tempered by trials. Their story continued, journeys across the American South, from the Mississippi Delta, where they listened to fishermen's tales, to the deserts of Texas, where Layla found new hues for her art and Zarina gathered plots for her books. The drama didn't vanish, families still resisted, sending letters of admonition. Friends sometimes turned away, unable to grasp their choice, but they held on, knowing their bond was stronger than prejudice. They learned to forgive themselves and each other, finding strength in small joys, dinners under the stars, dances in the kitchen to an old gramophone, quiet evenings with books and paints. Ultimately, love wasn't an ideal, but a daily choice to wake up and choose each other, with a mug of coffee in hand and a heart full of warmth despite past scars. Their home in Marengo became a sanctuary, where every painting by Layla and every line by Zarina told their shared story of salvation, acceptance, and eternal loyalty.